As a current 5th grade teacher, I found the study and reading of cognitive load theory to be very beneficial to me this week. According to your textbook, page 57, cognitive load theory helps explain and predict the allocation of working memory resources and the interaction between working memory and long-term memory to deal with intrinsic cognitive load, extraneous cognitive load, and germane cognitive load. Looking back over my first 5 years of teaching 5th grade, I can say that I have observed the effects of all the cognitive loads mentioned. Teaching math as one of my subjects has provided an opportunity to observe the effects of specifically the intrinsic cognitive load on students on almost a daily basis. Thinking over this past school year, concepts like dividing fractions or converting fractions into percents presented a high intrinsic cognitive load on a number of my students. Though I didn't know the term back then, I could tell a number of my students were feeling overwhelmed by the task of completing the problems in those specific lessons. To them, the material was extremely difficult, and for various reasons, they were dealing with a high intrinsic cognitive load during the introduction even of those lessons. To reduce cognitive load, the intrinsic cognitive load, Poss, Renkel, and Sweller, 2003, suggest choosing a simpler learning task that omits some interacting elements. I personally found that beginning my lessons with prior knowledge and then building upon that step by step while showing energy and incorporating frequent practice of each step resulted in nearly every student having success. I used phrases and explanations for dividing fractions such as keep, switch, flip to break down a difficult process into smaller, easier to grasp steps. For changing the fractions into percents, I had the students repeat often the word percent means per 100, and we would refer back to that when figuring out what to do with a fraction when we needed to change it into a per cent or per 100. As I plan lessons going forward, I have learned from cognitive load theory that overloading working memory inhibits learning, and therefore, in order to facilitate learning, cognitive load must be kept at a manageable level. Ayers, 2006. Remembering this should help me promote greater learning in my classroom going forward.